Here we are using trig to find the lengths of sides in triangles. And to do this, we need to remember which trig function we use for which sides. And we do that with this handy device here, SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA. You say it a lot, you'll remember it. Sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and tangent is the opposite over the adjacent side. So let's take a look and see how these problems work. Here we have a triangle and we've got one angle defined here. Well, this one's a 90-degree angle, but this other angle is 28. And then we have a length of 7 on the hypotenuse. And this side over here is the one we want to find. And that is, from the perspective of this angle that we've been given, that's the opposite side because it's all the way across to the other side of the triangle. So we have the opposite side and we have the hypotenuse. So that is a sine function, opposite and hypotenuse. We're going to set this up with the sine of this angle, so sine of 28, equals the opposite side, that's x, over the hypotenuse, that's 7. And then we want to solve this for x. We can do that by multiplying both sides by 7. Those 7s would cancel. We would just get x on this side. On this side, we get 7 times the sine of 28. So that's when we bring in our calculator, and we can punch in 28 and hit the sine button. There's the sine of 28, and then multiply that by 7. And we get, let's do this to the nearest 100th, we get 3.29. So this is 3.29. And, that looks reasonable from the drawing. If this side is 7, this side could be 3.29. Let's try another one. Here we have an angle of 23, so this is our perspective from this angle. We've got the hypotenuse again, and we've got the opposite side again here. So it's going to be a sine problem again. Sine of 23 this time equals the opposite, and that's 8 on top, over the hypotenuse, and that's x. That's the one we're looking for. So this is a little bit different from the last one. We need to find x, and it's on the bottom of a fraction. What should we do to deal with that? Well, we can just multiply both sides by x. There's no rule against that. That would cause these two x's to cancel out, and suddenly your x is no longer on the bottom of a fraction. We haven't really solved this for x yet, though. Let me just rewrite this. We have x times the sine of 23 equals 8. And to solve for x, we would need to divide by the sine of 23. So 8 divided by the sine of 23. Over here, these sines of 23 cancel. We just get x. So x equals 8 divided by the sine of 23. The way to do that on most calculators is to punch in 8 and then the divide. Then you can punch in 23 and take the sine. It'll do the sine before you do the dividing. And when you hit equals, it'll all come out. So that's 20.47. So this side here is 20.47. And that looks reasonable too. If this side is 8, that side could be 20.47. Let's try one more. This one says angle B is 36, so we'll fill that in here. And this is our perspective from this angle right here. And side A is 18. And we want to find side B. So this is the one we're looking for. Okay, so from the perspective of this angle, we have, well, this side is adjacent. It's touching the angle, and it's not the hypotenuse. So that's the adjacent side. And, well, this side is directly across from it, so that's the opposite. So we have opposite and adjacent. The tangent is our ratio that is opposite over adjacent. So we'd set up a problem like this. We'd say the tangent of 36, that's the angle, equals the opposite, that's x, over the adjacent, which is 18. X is on the top here, so all we have to do is multiply both sides by 18 to solve this one. So x equals 18 times the tangent of 36. Let's put that in our calculator. So 36, we'll take the tangent and multiply by 18. And we get 13.08, I guess. So this side is 13.08. And that looks reasonable too. If this side is 18, that side could be 13. One thing to know is that we're working with degrees, that 28 degrees, 23 degrees, 36 degrees. Lots of calculators have ways to calculate trigonometric ratios in other units other than degrees. There are radians, there are gradients. So make sure you're in degrees if you're using degrees. That's a little bit of work with using trig to find sides in triangles.